I'm Jeremy Lefevre, and I'm here with Mike Moore with Business Management Consultants, and we're here to talk about health insurance. And let's start by talking about what this video is really going to be about, and that is, where does an employer's premium go with a conventional insurance plan?
Well, with a conventional insurance plan, the premium all goes to the carrier. That carrier, of course, is in the business to do the best he can for his stockholders, right? So what he will do is design a plan which will limit as much as possible exposure, to liability, and try and give you the best he can for that amount of money. And if you have good claims year, he gets to keep the difference. The carrier keeps the difference. What we do when we go into this alternative funding is say to the carrier, here's what we'd like to see. We want you to bid on this program where we take the front end of this risk, and we want to know what discounts you'll give us. And then we use those discounts to fund that front end. So that we're not paying any more if we had the worst case claims year that we could have. And in fact, if we have the normal claims year, we'd be paying something on the average of about 10 to 12% less. And in a good claims year, maybe as much as 20. You get to keep that money, as opposed to the carrier, who when you give him your 100% premium, gets to keep that money. So that's what we do, is we try and turn this whole thing around to where you become the beneficiary of your ability to take on the challenge of getting the very best that you can get for your people.
Mike, why don't you tell us about Business Management Consultants?
Benefit Management Consultants is a brokerage firm which specializes in assisting our clients in purchasing the most cost-effective, the best quality, and the most accountable plan benefits for their employees that are available in the market. We search all the options, supply you with all the alternatives, and you make the decision. And then we go to work for you, not the insurance company, in putting that into place.
So what type of business is most likely to use your services?
Well, any business who has 20 or more employees who believes that the amount that they're paying for the conventional coverage they may have now is somewhat outrageous, who's pretty well convinced that it will continue, the price will continue to increase in double digits for the next few years as it has for the last 30. Anyone who would like to really get control of their employee benefit package and some accountability for that should really get in touch with us, because we have great alternatives to offer you.
What benefits does Business Management Consultants provide to a small business?
The greatest benefit is, first of all, that you take control of your health insurance program, of your employee benefit package. That's probably number one. By doing that, there are subsequent benefits. One is that you get to assist in the design of that package. That is, you take on experts in the field like us, and we put those alternatives together for you, and then you choose from them. Second is that you get the economies of scale. You get the best benefit for the dollar spent. You get the best discounts when you bid it out to the insurance companies instead of just taking what they offer you off the shelf. And lastly, you get total accountability. Every dollar that's spent, you know where it goes.
Explain how a conventional insurance plan works.
Well, the basic difference between what Benefit Management Consultants offers and a conventional plan that you would buy on the street is, one, that the conventional plan is controlled by the state and the federal government, whereas we take you strictly into the federal jurisdiction area. We eliminate all of the state controls, which eliminates a lot of taxes, a lot of front-end costs. Secondly, it's your plan. This is not something that someone in the back office of the Blues or the Cignas or wherever designs for you, thinking in your best interest. You know your people. You know your industry. And so you help us design that. And lastly, you get accountability for every dollar spent, which you don't get on the conventional plans that are on the street today.
What separates Business Management Consultants from a conventional insurance carrier?
Well, there are several things aside from the actual alternative ways to fund. One of them is that it gives the employer the autonomy to make critical decisions or to make decisions that he prefers to make at a critical time. For example, in a crisis situation, do we want to pay for an extraordinary situation that has come along, which maybe the child or the spouse or one of our employees do we want to make an exception to the rule and do that? This gives you the flexibility to be able to do that. For example, I had a client whose daughter was in college, came up with a very serious cancerous situation, and the oncologist had gone through every possible modality at that time. Because it was such a rare form of cancer, when the insurance company explained to us that the only procedure left, which was over $250,000 in cost, would be considered experimental and therefore not covered, we demanded that they explain to us exactly why such a rare form of cancer was considered experimental, and why then, in fact, they could justify not paying it. We've sent that whole case out to a third-party oncology group who came back and said, this may or may not be experimental, but it's the only thing left to do, and because it's such a rare form of cancer, it's probably the only thing you can do. It's hard to say whether it's experimental or not, so I don't think it falls within our definitions. As a result, the insurance company paid the claim, which amounted to over $300,000 by the time it came through. These are the kind of flexibilities that we can build into the plan.
What gave you the idea to start Business Management Consultants?
Well, there's a great need for employers to take control of these areas, particularly this area, which is usually second only to payroll in terms of the amount that's spent and the importance, really, of that dollar spent. So I took it on as a good business opportunity in which I could also offer a lot of personal commitment to my employers, to my clients, which I truly am. I work for you, not the insurance company, not the federal government, not the claims administrator. I work for you, and all of our agency works for our clients. I like the nature of that relationship. I think it's a total American way of doing business. I like the fact that we can sit down and really work out what we have to deal with in terms of getting the best care that we can. It's an area which is so fraught with greed, fraud, and deception, if you will, that to have an expert on your side working for you instead of the insurance company is almost essential to being successful in this day and age.
Mike, tell us the story of how Business Management Consultants got started.
I was the executive director, assistant vice president, I guess, of a company. It was a nonprofit company, and we did a lot of specialized work. And it was very difficult for us to find medical coverage for our people. Now, this has been over 35 years ago, but even then, it was a difficult situation. And so I began to talk to people that I knew in the business, ask them what the options were, what the alternatives were. And I ran into one gentleman who said, you know, you're kind of a small group with 50 people, but I think you might try this. A lot of people don't go to this until they're at 100 lives or more. That was then. You know, this is now. Now we start this at about 20 lives. And so we began to figure out how to take my employee base and make it the best possible coverage that we could get, and the most cost efficient, I guess you'd say, because we had such a small amount of money in the budget to apply to that issue. As I developed that program for our employees, I began to think about how what a great opportunity this would be to offer this to other people, and I was heavily involved in chambers of commerce and small town organizations like the Optimists and so forth. And so I began to just put that out there to people, and there was a great hunger for that, because everyone has had the experience of not really being able to get the kind of coverage that you want for your own family and be able to give that to your own employees, which in a very real sense in this country, our employees are an extended family. And so it became a real challenge to me, and one that I've worked with now for over 36 years and am very happy with. I'm glad I went in that direction.
Is Business Management Consultants using one carrier or multiple carriers?
That's a great question, and it sort of depends on what the client wants, number one, and what in our discovery process we determine would be his best alternatives. I mean, you may have more than one carrier available, and you may have a different carrier for one area of coverage than you do for another as well. So it's a very customizable, a very flexible way of going about it, so that we can really customize this to your particular needs, to your industry, to the size of your group, to the location you're in. All of these things play into rate structures for your conventional programs. And we can take advantage of those rate structures to be most effective for you so that you get to have the benefit of maintaining, keeping the additional premium, which may not be spent in this effort by going in this, or by reallocating your assets in this way.
Talk a little bit more about what plan design is.
You can say, well, you can take Blue Cross Blue Shield conventional, you can take their EPO, their HMO, or their PPO. These are all different kinds of ways you can go about it. And you can choose which one you want, and then we're going to give you discounts on your participation in this premium, Jeremy. You see, if you take the HMO, which is the cheapest one to us, we're going to pay 100%. If you go to the PPO, which is a little more expensive, we're going to expect you to pay 15 or 20%. And if you go to the conventional, you might get stuck with a third of it, see. But that's your choice, because you got more choice with the conventional usually than the other ones. On the other hand, if you really put this together correctly, you want to have one excess carrier who will offer all of those possibilities for you within the plan document. And as designers of that plan document, we would put them in there. So we can say, okay, we're going to have, and you may never have heard of a company like, let's just think of the name of a company here, a big reinsurance company. You know, it might be somebody like Zurich or Munich or Lloyd's of London. You've heard of them, I'm sure. And say, okay, what we'll do is design a program where you can have an HMO, an EPO, a PPO, or a conventional plan, and we'll give you all the discounts wherever. But the carrier is going to be the same guy. We're going to negotiate with him all the way. We're going to have a third-party claims administrator. It doesn't work for him, works for us, works for actually our employer, works for you, like we work for you. And then we put all that together, and we get the very best of cross sections of service, accountability, effectiveness, efficiency of plan, and discounts.
Mike, how would someone go about using your services?
I think the first thing that you have to do is to give us a call and set up a time to sit down and visit, or we can do it by internet or by email initially, to get a little bit of basic information as to who you are, what your industry is, what your numbers of people are, what kind of coverage you have now, what you like about it, what you don't like about it. The first thing that we do is try and determine the best possible structure that would work the most effectively for you. So that's our first goal. And if you simply get in touch with us by phone or by email, we can start that process.